Hello, 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 and welcome to my Facebook Live. And thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me for the next 30 minutes to an hour that we will be spending together. And hello, YouTube. I will be putting this Facebook Live on YouTube afterwards. And my intention is to put the YouTube link in here as well on top of the description because I personally love watching videos on YouTube. I like to fast forward them. Okay, so it's been a while. My heart is racing. I have not been live in a hot minute, but I'm welcome to be back. And first of all, I'm very excited for this transmission. This has been something that I've been wanting to speak about when it comes to this breath work session that I had and the next level of breakthrough with my with the abandonment wound that I have. The first level of breakthrough I had was in my relationship, and now it's coming through again in a second layer through my business. Hello, Christina. You look so pretty. I love pink. So pretty. Yes, pink is very pretty. Especially this time of year, right? Summer, it's like, well, it's technically spring, but you get the vibes. Thank you for being here, Christina. So, I want to talk about that because it was like such a huge breakthrough, and yeah, we're going to get into that, and I'm hoping that it will help you too. So, before I begin, there is something that I need to share, and it's really, there's two reasons for it. Number one, maybe you'll find some comfort in my own vulnerability with what I'm going to share with you. And also, maybe if you do Facebook Lives, maybe that'll help as well. But for me, it's really about addressing like the elephant in the room for myself. And it's something that I feel like I need to do in order to create my own safe container for this live. And that is that I've had this like love-hate relationship with Facebook Live. Like it's been this, I love going on, I love sharing, I love teaching, I love coaching. It's what I'm here to do. And I love facing my fears, like boom. And I love connecting with you, all of the things. But then there was this hate part to it where I felt like when I showed up, I was too attached to how many people were watching me live. Were they watching me through the entire thing? Did they like it? Did they not like it? Am I good enough? Am I not good enough? Did people watch the replays? All of these things that make the experience not enjoyable for me, too attached to metrics, and making me actually not give as an effective live because I'm so concerned with who's watching and who's not watching. Like, right? That's the part that I hated. And funny enough, as I was writing all this out, because I do have a script to help me stay focused, because that's one of the things that I noticed. This is so attached to the whole abandonment wound thing that I'm going to be talking about, because I would start to abandon myself for metrics, for like people to watch. Like, can I wear something? That will help people watch more? How do how are other coaches doing it so that I could do it? I was just completely abandoning myself to fit into some box, right? People all watch replay. Keep going. Oh, thank you, Christina. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. So with that said, I was like, and then there was the other part in like the coaching industry where they're like, you got to go, you got to show up live, you got to be consistent, you got to face your fears, da da da. And I'm like, well, that's not my issue. My issue is not being disciplined. Like I'm a very disciplined person, and I have courage. Like those are two very strong qualities in me. I was like, that's not what it is. So I would try to do what that part of the other coaches were saying, and even peers, all with good intentions, but it didn't feel like aligned for me. And I know why, after I did some reflection and took some time off Facebook Lives, is that the first half of it, the hating part, was the metrics part, right? Me being so concerned with the viewers and all of that, and trying to be like the other coaches. Like I have to let that go. Like I have to let that go in order for me to come in here secure within me and deliver what I'm going to deliver. Number one. And then number two, the part that I needed the more work on was how to effectively communicate what's in my heart, what's in my mind, what's in my soul, things that have embodied, things that I'm walking through, and how do I share that with you effectively so that it comes across, you get the message, it lands. And that is where I was like, that's the thing. I need to be able to do things my way. And part of that is actually writing things out so I stay focused and letting go of the metrics, letting go of all that. So I'm showing up here. I don't care who's live, who's not live. If you are live, I love you and I appreciate you. If you have to go for whatever reason, then you go. And I'm okay with that. I'm not going to worry about who's watching the replay, who's not watching the replay, who's messaging me afterwards and who's not messaging me afterwards. Like all of that, I'm letting go and I'm trusting that I'm going to show up. And I trust whoever is meant to listen to this is going to listen to it when it's right for them. I'm going to do my part. I'm going to show up. I'm going to have everything ready. I'm going to show up when I'm ready to show up. And I'm going to trust that God, my spirit guides, all of that will do the magic behind the scenes and the right people will come. So I'm going to be showing up. I am showing up with my inner security, with my certainty, and trust that everything is going to turn out the way that it needs to be. And so it is. So that's that part. So I'm trusting and I'm knowing that I'm going to have really good lives, because that was part of the part of me that I hated, because I didn't come out of the lives as good as I knew that I could. So now with this new intention and this new mindset and this new safety container that I'm creating, I think these lives are going to be so much more better. Okay. So in today's live, I'm going to talk about two things that have been so pivotal when it comes to taking me from a place of where I was, of this unsatisfied place, of this place of suffering, of this place of I don't feel fulfilled in my life. Specifically, the first time it was my relationship, but there were other areas in my life that I did not feel satisfied either. To a place of having what I was craving, what I was yearning for, right? From being a place of like, why isn't my relationship the way that I want it to be? Why do we keep on working on this relationship and it's just not turning out the way that I want it to be? Why are we suffering? Like, why does he treat me like this? Like, why? Like, I really want to have a man that understands me, that gets me, that, you know, I feel enough with, that I feel like we are a team. Like, this is what I want, right? Going from there to here, right? That's where I was. This is where I wanted to be. This is where I am now. From a place of, why is my body not the way that I want it to be? Why do I just look in the mirror and like my stomach's too jiggly or my ass is too flat. Like I really just want to love my body and just to look in the mirror and love what I see. Boom. Right? So I was in this place of really just a lot of dissatisfaction, especially in my relationship, like where it was. And I wanted to have this thing so bad. And there was two things to that, two aspects that really allowed me to have what I wanted to have, which was healing the abandonment wound and identity work. And embodying that person that I wanted to be, right? So I'm going to start off with the context of like where I am now. Then I'm going to share this breakthrough, this breath work experience and this breakthrough that I had on the second layer of the abandonment wound. Because the first layer was through the relationship. The first layer was that I've overcome that. I have the relationship that I want. I'm in the sacred union. If we don't have any of those crazy blow up fights, we're consistently evolving together, right? So I heal that first layer of abandonment wound. I have the relationship. But there was a second layer, and it's related to business. And then I'm going to tie it back up into the shadow relationship that I was in and the abandonment wound when it comes to that. And how these two things are very much interconnected with me specifically because I have an abandonment wound. So if you have an abandonment wound, I think you're really going to connect with this. Yours may look a little bit different because our stories, how it was created for you is going to probably be different than mine, but nonetheless, there's going to be these similarities, there's going to be a resonance. So let's start with the context. So to start with this context, I've been actively been working on this new embodiment of this new woman that I want to be when it comes to the woman that I am in my business, as a coach, as a woman that can hold wealth, right? I've been really stepping into this new identity because the person that I created back from 2015, when I first started this, when I said, okay, something has to change, like there really needs to be a change in this relationship. Like I can't take this. I love this man, but I can't take this, to 2022, let's say, because 2023 this year is when I actively started making this, like this new identity that I'm creating. So this woman that I was before, like I love her. I adore her. She is so strong, so powerful. And she's taken me from a place of having a suffering relationship, having the self-leadership and the courage to reconnect with myself, even though there was that fear of that abandonment, that this man would leave me, right? If I started to step into my power, step into my own self-leadership, step into like me, like just take care of my own needs, regardless of what he was going to say. Like she got me to do all that stuff. And she got me to work and be connected to my own highest self and to become a sovereign woman when it comes to relationships. And she helped me leave that relationship pretty effortlessly and confidently. Because I came to that point where I just knew, like, this relationship isn't for me. So there wasn't that like deep suffering that happens when you typically break up in a relationship, especially if you haven't healed this abandonment wound. So I really healed that when it comes to relationships. And even Ron, with my current partner, he's helped me even take that to a step further. So she's helped me come over that. She helped me actually a lot in corporate to really create a different level of income with my personal training career inside of corporate. But when she realized that, you know what, corporate is also just being the exact reflection that my this shadow match relationship was like it is the same thing. I'm not appreciated, and I feel like I can't expand and do things the way I want to do it. So she had the courage to say, okay, we're done. We're going to start our own business and start living like our soul, like purpose, and really just spread my wings and fly. Like freedom was the word that I felt in 2017 when all of these things fell into place. And 3 months later, after I made that courage move of leaving that partner, Ron comes into my life. Ron comes in, my sacred union partner, and we are just having this beautiful, expansive, loving, connected, secure, emotionally stable, sexually yummy relationship, right? So she's led me to all of that. But now there's a next level. That was like what, 7 years? 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, like 6, 22. Yeah, like 7 years, whatever, 6, 7 years, 8 years. 7. Yeah, 7. She did all that, and I love her and I adore her. But there's a next level, because I could stay in that same identity, but I want more. I desire more, and not a desire from lack, not from a place of need. I desire more. And what I've been wanting is a certain level of this income goal where I want to hit in my career. And it's not just the income goal, it's also the woman that holds that, like how I show up in my relationship, how I show up with my clients, how I show up with my family and with my friends, like everything. I just desire so much more, like just an evolution of that. But right now, like the income goal is really like the biggest area where I feel like I'm breaking free. Like I'm breaking this new like generational thing, right? Like this is where my next level of identity is coming to step in. Because the old version of, not the old, but the last identity work version of me is really holding and really evolving when it comes to relationships, right? With relationships, she's really holding that fort. Now with business, it's a different thing. Now with business, wealth, all of that, we're coming into this next level of identity work. Right? I can't get to where I was, who I was before, it can't get me to where I want to be. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's just a fact. So when it comes to that, so with that context that I've given you, when I showed up to this breathwork session, since 2023, I've been really working on this new identity because I realized there were similar patterns that were happening in my relationship before, where you're doing the inner work, but you don't see the actual results, right? That's what I noticed that was happening when it came to like business. I'm doing all the inner work. I have a better relationship with money. I've expanded, like I'm such a better coach. Like so many things are evolving with me. There's so much healing. But where I want to be in certain goals, financial goals, like it's not there. It's not, haven't really broken past this certain wall. So that's when I realized, okay, identity work, this is exactly what shifted so much for me in 2015 to lead me to 2017. I was like, okay, this is the work that I needed to do. So I started this new embodiment. I called in my inner king and queen, created this new identity from my soul. And I started with that intentions in this year, in January. That's what my focus is. That's where all my attention is. I have unwavering faith, even though my mind sometimes wants to go to old beliefs. It's really been that focus. Like, nope, we're bringing it back here. We're bringing it back to here, Jessica. We're not going there. We're staying here, trusting even when the evidence isn't there. We're trusting, right? So boom. So with this breathwork session that happened in March, I came in with this identity, right? Like this is who I am. This is what I'm focusing on. So in this breathwork session, it's a rebirthing, breathing process. So it's really about a rebirth. Like you're coming out a new person, right? This happened around the spring equinox, which is perfect timing for that, right? We're going into spring. We're taking everything that we have healed and learned, and we are rebirthing. We are starting anew, afresh. So I had this in mind. So when you're doing breathwork session, if you're not familiar with it, what happens is that you're actively breathing, like you're consciously having like a certain cycle of breathing. There's different types of way that you do the breath work with different reasons. This one specifically was a constant inhale and exhale through the mouth. It's a circular breath. So you're circularly, if that's a word, breathing in and out through your mouth, right? And when you're doing this consciously for an hour, and I know that sounds like a long time, and it feels like a long time when you first start, but once it finishes, you're like, whoa, that wasn't that bad. I have had a lot of breakthroughs with that, right? Is that you're bringing a lot of oxygen to your cells and a lot of presence to your body. And your body is the unconscious mind. Your body is what stores like trauma, what stores fear, what stores negative experiences, times in your life that memories that were not so fun or whatever got trapped inside our bodies, right? So the breathing really brings awareness to these parts of your bodies. So as we're doing so, and what happens when you're doing this breath work, you have different sensations in your body. Like sometimes your body can get cold or it can get hot. You sometimes get into these really weird, funky things. Your body can just start moving on its own. Like it's really weird because it's happening without you actually doing it, but it's your body really releasing and it's doing its thing, right? It's the unconscious part of ourselves, and we're bringing consciousness to it. So it's doing all these things. And then of course you can have emotional release, which can look like different things: crying, yelling, feelings of anger, laughing, convulsions. Like there's different ways that your body emotionally expresses everything that's been stored up and everything that's coming up to the surface. For me, it's typically crying. That's what it always shows up for me. So we're doing this breath work. 45 minutes in is when you start to ask questions, right? When you start to connect with this part of you. You start to ask your body different questions to receive the answers for, to create illumination. And one of the questions, and I believe this was the last question that was asked, was, where is your body leading you to? And my immediate response was, I can do it. And right away, I was brought to the abandonment wound, to the moment that everything happened, to where my consciousness goes and how it remembers it, which is I'm 6 years old. I'm in the living room at my dad's house, wondering, where is my mom? Where is she? I feel alone. My dad is just there, but he's not there. And the one thing, the purpose in my life has just been taken away from me, which was at that time gymnastics. And if you're not aware of the sport gymnastics, at least back in the time, I was a competitive gymnast, so of course my goal was to go to the Olympics. And you have a very short window to reach that. Now it's changed, but at that time, if you didn't hit Olympics by the time that you were 16, like that's it. Good luck. Your body's going to break down. You're not going to make it. So from a very young age, you become very disciplined, very much like, this is my goal and this is what I'm going for. So I'm taken back to this memory and I'm crying and just wailing, like, I miss my mom. I want my mom, right? Like that's what I feel like in my body, is just like this emptiness and just like, I miss my mom. Like, where's my mom? And my dad is like kind of somewhere in this memory, and I'm just there all alone, like with what feels like nothing, just nothing there. So after I'm having this emotional release, what comes through is like God was like, what do you say? He's like, you're not alone. Divine Father and Divine Mother are here with you. You can do this. And it was just this feeling of relief that I felt. Like I felt the presence of God with me. And I intuitively felt that I needed to claim that I can do this, like out loud during this breathing session. So I'm in my room. Are you Christian? You said, are you Christian? You said praying. I am not a Christian. I've been brought up Christian. I love Jesus. He's part of my, someone that I do connect with deeply, but I'm not a Christian. I believe in spirituality, and I believe in all forms of deities of the highest consciousness. But I do believe in praying. I do believe in all of that. So I felt like I intuitively needed to assert this belief that I can do this, right? So I started like yelling, I can do this, which I was at home. I live with my sister. And I told my sister, I'm like, sis, just so you know, like, and she's not into any of this stuff. She probably thinks like I was psycho. I'm like, I'm going to be in my room doing a breathwork session. You might hear me crying, screaming, saying things, but just don't worry about it, right? So I'm in my room, like crying and all this stuff. And then this part comes through and I'm screaming like, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. And as I'm saying it, like I feel my solar plexus radiating. Like this chakra was just like radiating. Like I felt like energy, like heat coming out of it. But heat that you don't really feel, but it was just like a radiating, like a light. It was like, I felt like light coming out. And then I felt energy going into my spine. Like I felt my spine starting to become more erect, more like confident, right? Like inner strength. Like I can do this. I can do this. I am not alone. But as the energy is coming into me and as I'm feeling these things, I felt God with me. Like I felt like what was happening, it was almost like God was able to really come deeper into me. Like I can I have this inner communion with him. Like I'm not alone. I am not alone. I am not alone. You are not alone. We are not alone. Like we can do this. And I just felt this energy coming through me, and it just felt like this layer of the abandonment wound healing. Because what happened is the first layer of the abandonment wound was connected with relationships, right? The first layer that I had to work through when it came to this wound was in this shadow match relationship that I had, where this man was always threatening to leave me for a different standard of woman. So I, having this wound and him saying things like that, I would start thinking that I'm not good enough, and what do I need to do to become good enough? So I would start bending over backwards to be good enough. And that was a cycle that would never end, because you can't please other people to be what they want you to be. But at the time, I didn't know that. At the time, I'm thinking, if this man leaves me, it's I can't make it. I can't do it. I can't do this. I don't have the strength to do this. So in that relationship, in the dissolving of the shadow match, I had to heal the abandonment wound and saying, I can do this. I got my own back. And I had to create a new identity of a woman that had her own back. So what happens is, also, when it comes to this second part, is the projections, the wounds that you have on your mother and on your earth parents, you project that onto your spiritual parents. So my biggest wound when it came to the masculine, which is the father figure, which then got projected to God, was that I didn't have support, that I was all alone, and the lack of leadership and all of those things, right? And in this case, I also projected it onto God. But real quick, back to the relationship part. So the first layer was healing that I got myself, that I am here for myself. I don't need to abandon myself for a relationship. Because if I need to abandon myself for a relationship, then that relationship is not for me. And developing the inner strength to know that I'm okay and that I can handle it, right? Because the fear, when you have this abandonment wound, is that if you make a decision that's aligned for you, that the person isn't going to agree, and then do the threat, and then the fear of that he's going to leave, and then that you're going to, that pain would be too much to handle. So one of the what I had to do to get through that is to let myself know that I can handle it, and then I will be okay, right? Building that inner strength and continuing with the self-leadership that I needed to have within myself to be the woman that I wanted to have the relationship that I wanted to have, whether it was with or without him. And at the same time, I had to nurture myself and love myself because I was very hypercritical. Obviously, I didn't think I was good enough for a lot of things. So I had to really nurture myself and bring in that mothering energy within me. I had to create this new inner king and queen, which is inner father and mother, to the table. And that was the identity work that I had to do in combination with that abandonment wound. So with this, what's the second piece to this? So if we go back to the story of what happened in that moment where I'm in the living room feeling all alone, is that the first layer of healing came with the relationship that I had with my earth parents. And then the other piece to that was that my purpose at the time as a 6-year-old, as a gymnast, was gone. And I felt all alone. And you project your wounds from your earth parents onto your spirit parents. So then, therefore, I thought, especially when you're in business, because there's nothing to lean on, right? When I was in corporate, there was, a boss, there was managers, there was people who brought in clients. There was a whole different system going on. But when you're in your own business, it feels like it's on you. And then that is where that second layer was coming to be healed, because it's not just on me, because I am not alone. I am with God is with me. So little Jess was running the show. Little Jess had this really core belief that I couldn't expand my business to what I want it to be because it was going to be taken away from me, and I'm all alone anyways. There's nothing there to hold me and to hold the business. You get what I'm saying? Let me know how this is resonating with you. And the funny thing is that exactly what was happening in that relationship was the way that I was treating myself when it came to money, to the career, to the business, which was like I mentioned as I opened up this live, was that I would abandon myself for metrics. I would abandon myself for certain things. And I was abandoning myself a lot from 2017 up until 2020. There's one part of this puzzle that I forgot to share, was that in 2017, when I made this decision to leave corporate and to start my own business, yes, resonated. I would abandon myself for men too. Yes. Is that I remember saying this thing, which was, I remember the first 6 months was really hard. And I remember at one point saying, God, I was like, I feel like, why have you abandoned me? I feel abandoned. I did the things. I said this, I did what you asked me to do, which is so interesting. I still haven't cleaned that up. I don't know if there's anything more to that. Maybe there is, maybe there's not. But I did say, like, I've done what you've asked. I left the man. I had the courage to stand up to him. I became the woman that I've always wanted to be, the woman that that you've shown me that I could be. I left him with grace. I left corporate, who was also reflecting to me the same exact thing. Where are you now? Where are you? And within that time, I remember I made this decision that this is human shit. Like, God can't help me with this. Money and business, this is human stuff. Like, God can't do anything. Until 2020, as I continued to not be connected with my spirituality, which ironically I was also really craving spirituality, but I was such in this place of scarcity, of darkness, of abandonment, and when it came to this particular area of my life, that I just went off the deep end and just went overcompensated masculine until I got burnt out for the third time. And I said to myself, I need to return to what worked. And what worked was having a connection with my highest self, which is also your connection with God. That is what got me to do the things that I needed to do to become the woman that I am. Identity work, healing the abandonment wound, connected to your inner self, not abandoning yourself, having that connection with source and trusting in that. Thank you so much, Christina. Have a beautiful day. Mwah. So, what is the message here for you? The message here for you is, number one, where are you abandoning yourself for something outside of you, for someone else, for that thing? Where do you feel that you are alone in life? Where do you feel that God is not there with you? Where do you feel that if you do what it feels so aligned in your heart to do in your relationship, but you're scared to do that thing? Where do you need to find that inner strength? Maybe not necessarily leave him, because that's not what it's about. It's not about making rash decisions. It's about, where's that one leadership step that I need to take for myself in this moment and meet my needs for the first time, probably. Where am I not going to abandon myself with this need and feel that inner security within my heart, within my soul, that I will be okay and I can handle this? And if you've been doing this inner work for a very long time and you're not seeing the changes in your reality, who do you need to become? Who is it? What are the masculine and feminine traits that you need to have and you need to embody in order to become that? Because you need to have both of these. Your inner masculine, your inner feminine, your inner queen and your inner king both need to be online. The identity work is masculine energy work. Because the masculine is the framework that holds everything, that holds the evolution and the transformation. So if you're doing the inner healing and it keeps crumbling, you're trying to hold it from an old framework. For my old framework, my original blueprint, this is what I like to call it. My original blueprint was from my parents, from what I saw with them. When I created a new identity, which is a new blueprint, I created a sovereign version of that. So what is the sovereign version that you need to create that houses this transformation? And now I'm into that next level. It's almost like a parallel, because that second blueprint, my sovereign blueprint when it comes to relationship, is fucking badass. Like, that woman is, she is the shit in relationships, I feel. I know. I have evidence. And I continue to have evidence. So now it's like a conjunction, like with this area in my life when it comes to business. Where do you need to apply? I can do this. You can do this. Where can you feel that inner communion? What can you do to create that inner communion with God? because these two, healing the abandonment wound and identity, is what's going to take you to the next level. And this is exactly what we do inside of my one-on-one coaching container. If you're a woman who's in a relationship and you keep having the same issues and you want to finally step into this new place of being where you actually have what you want, you actually have the relationship, that is emotionally stable, where you feel like a team, where you feel loved and adored for who you are, where your man allows you to spread your wings and fly, where you feel respected, where you feel cherished and adored, and you feel enough. If you want to have that and be able to have healthy conflict resolution and not have these blow-ups in order for you to have to grow up, like, there's this part of you that's really done with all that and you want to now have. This is what we do inside of my one-on-one containers. So if you want to harmonize your relationship with your spouse or potential lover, friends and family, in business, and in your body, to stop the drama and trauma so you can finally have it all. Like, if you want to have it all, the drama and trauma is just the highs and the lows. If you're done with that, this is for you. So it's a 6-week and 12-week container. I have 2 options available for you: a weekly Zoom call and then Voxer support after that, which is just a rolling audio chat to continue to integrate everything that we have spoke about on our calls. And we are going to do vision mapping and scaling of your vision. We're going to dissolve shadow matches, which is healing the abandonment wound. That's what we're going to do in this area as well. Sexual healing. So we're going to connect you back to your power and your sensuality, which, that's another subject where so many women are suffering, where they're, anyways, beautiful part of this piece. And then we're going to have sacred union. We're going to create a sacred union with your inner king and your inner queen. Huge piece. This is a huge piece if you really want to have a sovereign relationship with a man. This is huge. Your inner queen and your inner king need to be on point so you can be the energetic match for someone who has their inner king and their inner queen on point too. If you really want to have a union where you feel like the presence of God is there, this is the work. This is the program for you. Like, we're going to do that. So the 6-week container is $999. The 12-week container is $19.99. And I do have 2-month, 3-month options for the 6-week, and then also up to 4 months for the 12-week program. And yes, you can continue to upgrade if you desire. Now, if you want, there's another program that really helped me with healing this abandonment wound, which that I created into a masterclass, which is called Your Center Masterclass. So this really helps you to create that fortitude and that inner knowing and that inner connection with your higher self, so that you're not just leaking your energy out and having this circumstantial power or this no power, and you're just leaking yourself everywhere, and you're being pulled to a million pieces and just abandoning yourself, really. So Your Center Masterclass is another awesome masterclass. If it's a 3-day masterclass, each call is about 60 minutes or so. You get 2 embodiment sessions, a masculine embodiment session and a feminine embodiment session. So not only is this going to help you create this connection with yourself and have this solid center within yourself, you're also going to learn this feminine embodiment practice, which is so huge with you reclaiming your feminine energy and having breakthroughs and alchemizing breakthroughs that are more of a feminine style. Now with this, you also can use it's $44. You can use that for a one-on-one intensive with me. So, which is a 1-month coaching container with me, where we do a 75-minute call. And then after that, we have 4 weeks together in Voxer to continue to integrate everything that we've talked about in this call. So if you, whatever, 1 to 2 areas in your life, like in your relationship where you really want leadership in, where you really want to lead yourself through and create change in, that is what we're going to do. And what you can also do is if you upgrade within those 4 weeks, like right at that 4-week mark into the mentorship program, then you can use that as a credit as well. So if you want like an easy flow and you want to continue to taste what it's like to work with me, this is a beautiful way to do that, because every single time, like you won't be spending extra money. It'll all be upgraded as long as you're within that time frame, because there is a time frame also when you can use that $44. So that's also a beautiful masterclass to help you to heal that abandonment wound. Because the abandonment wound is also, from my experience, not having our own inner stability and not having a strong house to work with. It's made of like straws and grass that can be easily blown down because we're so terrified, and we're going to heal that. You're not going to be terrified anymore when it comes to this. So all of those, if you're interested, I'm going to put it in the descriptions, and I'm going to, you can send me a message if you want to talk more about it. Okay. I love you so much. Thank you for being here with me, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.